My name is Jamal Gittins, and I'm the Director of Growth at Lazer Technologies. So Lazer is a development and design studio. We're based in Toronto, Canada, and we build crackshot tech. We build the best websites in commerce, applications. We do a bunch of things as well in crypto, fintech, and health tech. So Reactiv is an interesting one, kind of unique, I suppose, because the founders are people that I've worked with in the past. We've had a really good relationship, and we were approached to help them with a project for one of their good close contacts in med school, bro. It's been a great experience so far, and it's really fun to work with founders that we're invested in from a people standpoint. And I feel like because we came from the same background in commerce, there's that natural step where they're trying to solve problems that they've seen before and that I've seen before and that we've as an agency have seen before, which I think is really important because, it's not just a team trying to build something out of scratch, out of nothing. It really comes from a place of passion and struggle, genuinely wanting to solve problems. So it's a really good relationship that we have with them. I think because Lazer is very development and design focused first, we're kind of in this unique place where we have the ability to build ourselves. But I think what's interesting for us is always trying to create a platform or use a platform that'll help us catapult not only our team's capabilities, but also help our clients and merchants that we're working with to be able to do and build the best tech possible. I kind of think of it, I'll give you a lot of sports analogies in this, but if I had to build my own running shoe from scratch every single time, it's very arduous, it takes a lot of time, R&D is not easy to do. And every single time when you're customizing something, over time, it'll break somewhere. So I think our capabilities and Reactiv's capabilities in terms of being able to customize and get something out of the box, but also still be able to tinker and do what we do best in building something that's brand new and fresh is a perfect synergy. So going back to the running shoe analogy, I think what's really cool with a partnership like this is that Reactiv gives us that platform to not only build the best thing, but once we've done that, we can run with it, pun intended, and keep going in that direction. What stood out, I think, is what I kind of just mentioned was basically that Reactiv was founded from a place where they saw problems and they wanted to build really great mobile applications. And funny enough, just even before this interview, I was thinking about mobile applications and just looking and interacting with my phone these days, I always think about how simple it used to be. The flashlight app. I remember the iPhone didn't actually have a flashlight on it. It was something so small and simple. And then there was that drinking one where you could put a beer on your iPhone and drink from the iPhone. I think that's what application should be, right? It should be something interactive, something not necessarily novel, but something that gives the experience to your users or your customers or whoever you want to interact with that app. And I think Reactiv at the core does that really well. It's not about, hey, we're just trying to sell you something. Because as a consumer, we're all consumers these days. I can't tell you the number of emails and applications I have on my phone where I get notifications of, hey, buy this thing, buy that. And it's actually genuinely overwhelming. The thing that I want to do is just play Wordle. But I think Reactiv, funny enough, actually has that at its core where we're able to build, and what they're building for is that interactivity, which I think is kind of missing these days. I think a lot of brands do everything, but they kind of forget that hey, we're humans and we want to be interacted with as if we're humans in these small ways every single day that aren't just buy this or do this. We can really build applications that matter and that have impact besides just trying to drive revenue. Of course, that's the end goal, but I think influencing revenue is way more important than driving revenue. I think driving revenue, it's very interactional, or sorry, not interactional, but transactional, where at the end of the day, I already know what I want from you. So I'm not going to give you value. I'm trying to extract value from you. Whereas influencing revenue is providing value. And in providing that value, you create something that I can give back, which I think is really interesting. And that's kind of how us as an agency try to operate, is to really provide value outside of just trying to win deals constantly and build things that, just because the dollars are there, we want to make it make sense for the long term. So yeah, I'm a big influence guy. I'd rather somebody come back to me because they trust that we're great thought leaders or that we'll do a great job, which is funny enough how this whole Reactiv thing happened for us with med school, bro, than just trying to get to an end game of here's an application, good luck, have fun. It's way better to be part of that process and actually help build something that matters and that lasts for longer than just a kind of internet minute. Again, it's fresh for us. We're working on one project currently, but what we're seeing is being in such close partnership to them. I wish I could show my phone, We're in a Slack group, and like every day I open my phone, something cool is happening within our Slack group. And just to preface this, I'm not a developer or designer at all. But in the last 2 weeks, just like checking in on Slack, it went from just like a wireframe into a working application. Ross has got it back there, and it's crazy to see the growth, especially as somebody who isn't necessarily like in the building phase and like isn't in the weeds every single day like that. To watch something come to fruition quickly is really cool. And just from even seeing how our engineers are able to interact and use Reactiv as the platform, it looks easy to me, like, and I think that's a good thing. Like, they aren't complaining, they have nothing but good things to say. And it allows us to like keep our project deadlines on time, which I think is really important, right? Like, we want to be able to launch quickly, efficiently, and within budget. And I think Reactiv has been doing a great job of that. And just even keeping up with them, like their APIs are great. Again, not a developer, but just knowing that there's like the sky's the limit for us. And as Lazer Technologies, we want to really build the best tech possible, and Reactiv isn't anything that's going to slow us down from that. And in fact, I'd say it looks like from my perspective that we're actually able to like jump off that jumping board and do really cool things with it. So I'm excited to actually see the final product. I think there's a lot of synergy that we have in terms of like team dynamics. I think we're both very agile. I hate using the word scrappy, but we want to get things done, and we want to do it in the most efficient way where we feel like we're partnering together and genuinely creating like a team dynamic versus just a two-way street where I give you something and you give something back. We're able to have those collaborative efforts together. What we're doing, I'm sure, is probably influencing the product that they're building, and then vice versa. What they're building is able to influence what we do, and just being able to like tinker with all the different functionalities that Reactiv provides allows us to see new things that we can do. So when we talk to merchants or other clients, we're like, hey, we've actually done something similar to that for this merchant or this client. Maybe we can leverage that and like jump off that jumping board or use that as a launch pad to do some other cool things for merchants too. I'm not a developer myself, but when I talk to our developers on our like project syncs, it's been really easy. I think what's interesting is like it gives the playground for them to do cool things. Like I used to use MySpace or like Pixo or whatever, and it was kind of like an open platform where you could kind of build whatever you wanted. And of course, like within bounds, there was stuff that you had to do. And I think that Reactiv's been that for our developers. Like it's given them the sandbox to like do what they need to do. And from like statement of work into the wireframes into what it looks like now, in something that's actually interactive and like slowly getting there. It should be finished in a couple weeks. But that part of it's really, really interesting to me. So I think like overall, it goes back to like why med school bros is creating this, and I'm sure there'll be a question about that. But just really creating like an interactive experience is key, and I think Reactiv is the best solution for building those meaningful and like interactive pieces that you want to have for your customers or your users that actually genuinely want them to come back and keep them using the apps that you build. I feel like my job, I usually am in the front lines to customers that come into Lazer, especially on the growth side. There's two things that happen. One is it's a customer that's customized everything themselves, and they're like, this is broken. Like, help me. Like, my house is falling apart, or like, my boat's broken, it's not sailing anymore. And those customized solutions are great at the start because it's exactly what you want. But after 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or however long it's been, those small problems now become these large issues that get harder and harder to manage. And once you've messed up once, it'll always come back in some sneaky little way. So that's the one profile that we see is like the fully customized, we need help, it's broken. The other is we bought this out of the box solution and it works, but now we can't do anything to it. And if we want to, it's gonna be really expensive, and then we also have to customize it. And they know that it's gonna break eventually, and they don't have the internal capacity to do that as well. So I think that sweet spot is being able to have that duality of we can give you the sandbox to build what you need, and if you want to customize that further, you can do that as well. And we have the capabilities to help you do that either internally, if you have those, or you can go and build that out externally through an agency like Lazer and use our kind of resources to get there. So I think that build and buy is really important these days. I think about it all the time with anything. You kind of still want something customized to you. Like, again, going back to like analogies, huge shoe guy. I love shoes and I run all the time. I wish I could slightly customize some of my shoes, not even in the colorway, but like the fit. And I think like if I had to say that analogy, like that's what Reactiv is to me, is like this perfect middle ground of being able to get something that you want, but also change it in the way to build it in the exact way that you need to run your business. Again, pun intended. Yeah, and I think what's interesting for us, like to plug Lazer as well, from a strategy and consulting standpoint, you know, we don't want to build things that are just what we've seen before. Like if you're a brand trying to sell, right? I don't want to just build another app where I can just sell stuff to my customers. I want to build an experience. I want to build something that's stand out and that my customers will remember. All going back to that value drive, right? Like what can I give to you that will make you say, hey, that was a great experience. I want to interact with your brand. It might not be buy right now, but eventually it will turn and convert into some sort of experience or some sort of revenue for your company. I think that's really, really interesting, and like Reactiv's the platform I think that you get to do that with, because we have those like that open capability, and we can start to say, hey, like we can actually again customize what you're looking for. Like we've built this, but now let's experiment here and like do something like what Med School Bro is doing with an interactive app where we can actually start to interact with your brand every single day, which is really interesting and a great way to just like build community. And I think in that community building, again, you build value and eventually influence revenue, and everyone's happy. There was a time when apps were these very novel and fun things to interact with. There was one called Trivia HQ, which I think was popular back in 2017. I was a player every day. I think I almost won once or something like that. I came very close. I was very good at it. But with Med School Bro, they've built a really great brand. And part of it is that they're an educational platform at the core. And what's important about that is being able to like experience what Med School Bro has to offer, again, driving that value for them. And what that is that they've got the knowledge and they want their users to be able to access that knowledge through books that they sell or courses that they have as well. But how do we do that in a way where it's on your phone, right? Like it's something that's in your pocket every single day. We all have them. How do we turn that experience into something fun and kind of like whimsical that actually will, again, influence revenue, because now you're interacting with the brand and say, hey, like I learned something today after using it for 30 seconds. Just that simple 30-second interaction. It's kind of like similar to Wordle, where I have it, it becomes a daily habit, and now I'm getting the breadcrumb that I need to say, oh, this is actually valuable to me, right? I learned something new, and now there is more of a conversion point because I can say, I've got value from them, I've learned something, and now I'm willing and ready to buy a course from them or a subscription to their platform or one of their study books as well. Again, I think the most important piece is that they've seen the issues before and they build for those issues specifically. And again, it wasn't them shooting darts at a board to see if something would work. It was, hey, we see a gap in the marketplace, we see something missing here, and it is that build versus buy, which is like that custom solution. I think that's really important, is like somebody that's close to being a founder themselves, and I have been a founder in my past, working with people that actually genuinely care about solving problems is the most important thing. And having two people on the team, and of course their team's growing rapidly, but having that at the core of their kind of like mantra of why they do what they do is really important. So working with that team is huge, because it goes into like, how do we consult further and how do we build these things that are new and fresh, because we don't want to just rinse and repeat and recycle things that already exist, because that gets boring, not only for consumers, but it's boring for us too. So I want to say that Reactiv just really injects that fun and curiosity back into like building tech that people care about. Lazer, we're not new in the marketplace. I think we've been making a lot of buzz recently. We've gone up market and we've got a lot of like really great projects under our belts that we've done in the past, and currently building out our kind of brand equity in that way. And what Reactiv allows us to do is like build those really interesting experiences that trigger other customers to look and say, hey, that's really cool, why'd you do that? And what were the successes and what KPIs came out of that? And then it just snowballs from there. So we're actually able to really, really build these case studies to create like a proof of concept to say, hey, this works. And not only does it work, but we can replicate it for you and customize it however you need for your brand or whatever makes sense for you. So I look at Reactiv as something that we can use long term, and just even, again, being close to the product team on their side, they've got some really powerful and smart people behind the company that have also worked at brands before, which I think is very, very underrated. And having that as somebody leading the ship on the product side or the tech side is really key, because they're coming with expertise that they've built over the last 5 to 10 years. And if you have 7 people on your team or 8 people or whatever that number might be, that could add up to 100 years of commerce knowledge. that you're using to like really help other customers too. So for us, I think it's going to be table stakes that we use Reactiv, and I'm excited to have them be a partner to us, especially as people that are, again, founders and now becoming friends or are friends at this point. So yeah, really excited to continue to work with them.